Chodesh Elul, the wind of Elul fills it, so it's a terrific morning. I was in Budapest. I was talking about the Shabbos. It was nice to see the Shliach, but there's also, there's a lot to see in the city. There's an unbelievable shul, a gorgeous shul, which I did not enter because people told me that it's also some soifer made a isur. I looked into it last night. I found that it was some soifer, and it wasn't so simple. But anyway, let me go back a little bit and tell a little bit the history of this, which is a very relevant question today in the United States of America. Yeah, gorgeous shul. One of the, I think they say the largest shul in the world. It was built by a group of people who are sort of the precursors to what we know today in the United States of America as Reform and Conservative. In Hungary, going back 200 years, there was a very strong movement of reformers. They were not called Reform, they were called Neolog. It's called the Neolog Synagogue. It's called gorgeous shul. It's huge. It started about 200 years ago.
How long?
Yeah.
Don't sit there. Don't. Excuse me.
Why? Now, the Scholar movement was a term.
Don't sit there.
The Reform was not a term. They called themselves Neolog. So, just to give you some background, some Sofer, who Hungarian Jews, when you say Moshe about Moshe, like come to Moshe, you're talking about the Moshe Sofer. Some Sofer started a battle against those that tried to make changes to Judaism. The way this battle happened in Hungary was very different than in other countries. In White Russia, Lithuania, the Gdolei Yisrael, and it's Tzedek and Klolam, that they were able to push them out of Klal Yisrael as individuals, but in Hungary it just wasn't Shia. They were too powerful. So the motto was "Hibodlu metoicha Edom." That's when they started this kind of. Where does Orthodox come from? The Young Israel didn't create this term Orthodox. This term Orthodox was created by the Talmidim of the communities then needed to have a legitimacy from the government, and these people who were wealthy and built incredible temples, and they changed the look of the shul. It looked like a temple, and the rabbi already put on a special gown. They wanted to look like the Goyim. So it was very hard to deal with it. So the way that some Sofer felt to deal with it was to separate. Some Sofer got permission from the government to make separate communities. They called themselves the Orthodox Jews. So whatever you do it, the Orthodox, the Soidos Bahari Kodesh from the Talmidim of the Chassam Sofer. The Chassam Sofer started the Orthodox movement. Today you have a concept of modern Orthodox, but that wasn't the Talmidim Chassam Sofer. The Talmidim Chassam Sofer started this thing in the Orthodox community. There's a sefer called Zachar Yemais Eilam. It talks about this whole movement, the creation of the movement. It was apparently a famous gathering of the Talmidei Chassam Sofer and Abonim in Hungary in the year Tov Reish Chavav, 1866, in the city of Milovich. If someone's Hungarian here could maybe say it to me. Milovich. So there was a Asifos and Abonim, and they made a takonis. And there's a list of takonis. One of the takonis is that it's also for a Jew to walk into this type of shul. It was right after this fancy shul of Budapest was constructed. It's also to walk into any of these shuls, and it's same like walking into a Beis Avodah Zarah. This takana is the precursor to what we know today in the United States of America, a takana that was made by the Agudas Rabbanan and accepted over there the Yisrael, Chlolam, Befrotam, the Moshe Feinstein. that it's also for a Frum Jew to go into conservative or reform shul. Now the details of it we'll try to flesh out now. And this was mamish and Mochemes Mitzvah in Hungary for 200 years. Stam, as a side thing, for those Lubavitchers here who sometimes don't understand where the Hungarians are coming. Like, what's Chassidus all about if you're not learning Chassidus? Like, just tamimis though. I'm not Chas v'Shalom talking about politics. And sometimes Lubavitchers are a little confused. What's going on? How can you be Chassid with a Shlamel and Bekeshem and Saks and with this? But they're not learning Chassidus. So what's Chassidus? But you have to understand the history of Hungarian Judaism. The early Yisrael were scared that they're going to lose a whole generation of people. The Ashkenaz Gedolei Yisrael were not Hasidim, and the Ma'odei HaChasidus got together, and the bottom line is that they saved Yidden, that they're from Yidden. So there's a little bit of it today, true. So Hasidim were coming out of Hungary. Sometimes they joined Chassidus because they wanted to be from Yidden. So the Chassidus part is a little bit lost here. True, what gave the koyach to those Gedolei Yisrael, starting from the Yismach Moshe, for example, down to Gedolei Yisrael that we know from the previous generation, the Kanoim, the Divrei Yoel, the Minchas Elazar, the Kloizim Begeneba, what the Chassidus was gave them that Yireh Shamayim and Avos Hashem. But at least to the Chassidim, the bottom line was joining Chassidus was a way to stay a Frum Yid. So sometimes, true, they're missing the Chassidus, but they really have to understand. They joined the movement because they wanted to stay Frum. They wanted their children to stay Frum. So this is a.
Why don't they follow
They do follow. They follow the Yireh Shamayim. They're very Yireh Shamayim. I'm just saying why they a little bit. Seems like they're Chassidim, but they have no Chassidus. How can you have Chassidim without Chassidus? So I'm explaining to you how I see it. So this was a takona. This takona, as I said, was the first takona, which was near Tofresh Chavov, was a takona not to enter shuls that were built by neologs, which later translated to Rabbanim in the United States, not to enter any shul which is conservative and reform.
But why did they make it as a Vedazor?
Huh?
Why did they make it as a Vedazor?
So why did they make it like a Vedazora? And how does it, the details of it? So let's look here at the top of the page.
Orthodox.
We'll have to get to that. First, let's deal before we come Orthodox. Okay, so again, the Sheilos is that you're allowed to go into a reform shul. So look at the Lashon HaTakana, which is the third paragraph here. Batik Nesiyas, this is the Lashon of the Takana, Seif Zayin. Batik Nesiyas Hanikraim Kor Shul. Ma'acha Shul Beis HaPikorsis, also Likonas L'Toichem. You know, like when you go to Yerushalayim, you go to Williamsburg, and there's like a sauna, there's a koid about sneeze. Right away, it's Issa Ice and the 17 Lavim, and sometimes it's a little bit funny to me, but you have to realize the history of it. You know, there's going back 200 years, and they wanted to make it to the average today. We understand reform is machutz lamachna, but 200 years ago it wasn't so clear. And the Rabbanim that were Rabbanim in the reform, or they were called neolog, were not like today. Rabbi Rebecca was a Am Oretz De'eraisa and doesn't know which side to start with, doesn't know who the Rambam is, and it's a joke. These people,
for 10 years.
Exactly.
Not like us, that,
Exactly. I was once in Riverdale, so I was visiting someone, in the Hebrew home, the home for the aged. So the woman comes in, she's a rabbi. I thought it was funny. So I said, "Oh, you're a rabbi." And I said, "What are you learning now?" So I don't know, for some reason she was insulted. She said, "I'm learning sugyos," and she just turned around and walked out of the room. The rabbi, gemeint, we can net this bissel lernen.
Lucky the whole new school wasn't
We can net a bissel lernen. Why can't we look? Oh? Oh yeah? Oh, funny.
Rabbi, what about churches become shul? Shul become church?
Well, let's get first to the shul of the reform. So this is the Lashon HaTakana. Beis Knesses Anikra Kor Shul. It's also to go into. Kedisa Mesach Shabbos. It says Mesach Shabbos. Omer Beitar. Akapeach is beni. It's a little strong lashon of a shvua. Shem Yovel Yodi Shani Eser Oisem Besaskora Shebahem. That the books that were written by Aminim and Apikursim, that the Sifri, in other words, if they wrote a Sefer Torah, he's going to burn that Sefer Torah with the Shem Hashem in the Sefer Torah. Shapilo od beroid of Achrav Lahorge, v'nocha sharotz la'akisha, nichnas l'beis avodah zara, v'ein l'nichnosim, v'ein nichnas l'bateim shaleilu. A person is running after him to kill him, a snake is running after him, and he's running away, and it's pikuach nefesh. He can jump into the cloister, the house of avodah zara. He's not allowed to run into one of the homes of these people that are the minimum and apikurim. Shalolo makirim v'koifrim, v'alolo ein makirim v'koifrim. These people that have avodah zara, they know nothing. They know from their parents of avodah zara, they're making a mistake, and they don't know the Eibishter, they're koifrim, but they don't really know anything. These minim they know, and they're koifrim, the Eibishter, so therefore you're not allowed to, because chas v'sham you'll be influenced by them. Leim akosim oimer, v'achir adelas al-zuz samta zechroinach, that you put the Eibishter behind your door. Amru v'shmal kavachem, malach shalom. Okay, let's leave it at this. Okay. So this is you get the tone when you see today of Koida in the Me'asharim or Williamsburg. You get where the tone is coming from. The Yidden, they wanted to make sure that from Yidden understand that you're not allowed to step over this line. There is a line that the Chassam Sofer wrote in the Tshuva. That's a famous line that became the motto by Hungarian Jews: Chudush Osam and Atoira. Yoshem Miyushim, the Lashon of the Tshuva was, whatever is older is better. Yoshem Miyushim is better and better. In other words, to keep Judaism the way it was for many generations. To keep Judaism the way it was for many generations, not to change. So now Lamaisa, in the United States of America, there was a lot of shuls that became conservative and reform shuls. A lot of them were originally Orthodox shuls that became reform and conservative shuls. So So there's many tshuvas from Moshe Feinstein about this. There's an interesting. There is a in the introduction to Teitzei Eliezer Chelkei, he has a whole collection of what Gedolei Yisrael said about reform shuls. Starting from again, this first Talmidim and Chassam Sofer, the Maram Shik, for example, brings that there's a Rambam. The Rambam says in Perek Yudalef from Hilchos Avodah Zorah, "La'yivne v'keimis k'binyan echol shel goyim k'dei shekonsum Rambam k'mo she'noisem." Like he equates this, it's like unbelievable. And he brings that there is a Zoyar HaKodesh, which is unbelievable. There's a Zoyar. This is brought from the Leva Ivri. Leva Ivri is also a Kanoi. The Bakiva Yosef Schlesinger, also the Hungarian. He is a great grandfather to our fellow Mispalo. Yeah, Rabbi Brook. So if you ever want to know where his Kanoas comes from, so you should know he's an Orenical from the Leva Ivri, Yosef Akiva Schlesinger. So, and he's also an Orenical from Rabbi Yosef Chaim Zonafan. So please give him a pass. So he writes that there is a Zoyar, that in Parsha's Bereshis it says that in the sin of the people that built themselves a tower, the Dorida Hafloga. So Minei Klosa Layu Itmar Heme Geboiri Ancha Hashem Ve'ina Mesita De Ilan De Itmar Bahoin Hova Nivna Lonu Ir Venasam Lonu Shem. They said we're going to build a big tower and we're going to make for ourselves a name. I didn't quote it in the papers I have it. Ubinyan Botik Nasir Medrasas V'Shavim Bahoin Sefer Torah Ve'afra Reshuy Ve'loy Lishmad Hashem Ala Eved Lahu Shem Hadohu Diksiv Venasam Lonu Shem. That there are people that they build big shuls, fancy shuls,
like the Dora
right, like the Dora Flogan, not for Hashem's sake, Nasa Lonu Shem, because they want to have a name. Ooh, wow, look, what's remarkable, if you go around Europe today, if you go, for example, to Budapest now, you go to any of these places that talk about the tours, the most popular tour, that is like the big thing, is the Jewish tour, the Jewish quarter, and this shul. The churches in Budapest, I'm not sure, but I'm it's a like tzachab that there's at least 10 churches bigger than this shul, right? And wherever you go today in Europe, the Jewish thing is like the big. It's very in vogue.
Even the going one.
Yeah.
They're not interested in the churches.
Not interested in the churches. There's churches
more.
More than the churches.
But this is a truck more.
This is a track. The theory and the pshat, why and what, I'll leave for you. But I'm just telling you a fact. Wherever you go from the Iberian Peninsula till
Jewish ghettos are always the big attraction.
unbelievable. And it's like it's a money maker. She'en kamoisa. You killed the Jews, and
still
now they're
make
making
money on
money.
it.
And now they're making money. They didn't let them build the shuls. Yeah. And the churches, no one's interested in going to the churches, but the shuls and the ghettos are the most popular tours in every single city in Europe. Is lo yomen ki zuba. Okay, back to our sugya. Now let's go now to the Chuvas of Moshe Feinstein. So there's a few interesting things. Number one, it doesn't seem clear to me that it's also to go into any of the buildings per se. In this takona that was made by the Talmidei Chacham Sof it's also to go into the shul, not only B'Shas HaTefillah, but also Shlevish HaTefillah. They said it's like a church. Now they're walking to a church at any time. Takona from the Aguda Sarabonim in America seem to be more focused on not davening there. Not davening there. Daven at home. You know, another shul, daven at home. And not to daven there in the time of Tefillah. Not necessarily that it's also to enter the building. However, there are a few chuvas of the Moshe that are very interesting. There's a tshuva that there was a few people that got together and they made a Orthodox minyan. They became big enough and they were davening in someone's basement. It was really too small, the basement. So the conservative shul said, you know, we'll rent your room and it'll be nice and good for you. So the Moshe said it's awesome. Why? He said there's Gemara Avodah Zarah, that there's a road that's going to only the place of Avodah Zarah. It's also for you to go. There's Maras Ayin. You're saying, oh, he's going to the Avodah Zarah. Really, he wants to go over there. He wants to go behind the tree. He wants the Chvezos. But it doesn't matter. People of Maras Ayin don't think you're going to Avodah Zarah. Unless the road is going to two places. And Moshe says that two places means that 50% of the people are going here and 50% there. But the conservative shul that has 500 members, and the Orthodox minyan that has 12. So that's also because it's Maras Ayin.
Is
Then he
there a
has
separate entrance?
So he says another word. He says unbelievable. He says even if it's a separate entrance. He says today you have shuls, from shuls that have two rooms. He says if you're going to legitimize their shul. People are going to say, that's the more frum minyan. That's the devout Orthodox. The more modern is upstairs. So in the meantime, they're allowed to walk into the buildings, and they're frum yid. They wouldn't walk in otherwise. But now that there's a minyan there, and they says what's even worse, that they might walk into the time when the Rav gives his drasha, and al pi Rav, the drasha is a conservative reform rabbi, dibre is minus and apikorusus. Wow. So.
What year was that subject?
That's true. Tavshin Chavdal,
Some
Shlomo
things
one.
have changed and some things haven't changed.
Okay, there's a lot of chuvas from the Moshe on this issue, which is like, I'm just quoting a chuvah the way it is. Another is, 2 years after that, there was a Frush school in Philadelphia that they wanted to rent from a conservative in their building. That they're going to walk in from different entrances. They wanted to rent classrooms. So in this trip he says, I can't tell you that it's border also, but I don't think it's a good idea.
So what's this about going to renting a hall or something?
Oh, so then there's a tshuva from the Moshe that if they have a chasana hall, which is clear that it's a separate thing from the shul, then you're allowed to use it. And he said even more, if there was a tshuva to play a city. He said if it's not a chilul Hashem, and in an extreme case, it would be mutter to use their shul to have a chuppah in it. So it says like this: in a shul, you're allowed to, in a kosher shul, a wedding, in the chuppah should be in the right. He says the hall is a separate thing, and the shul has no din kedusha of a shul. A regular shul, you're not allowed to make a chuppah in it. But their shul doesn't have the kedusha of the shul, so therefore you're allowed to. No, unless it was built with the condition of this. No, you're not allowed.
There are a lot of shuls that
They build it with the condition. They build it and they make the condition. That's a good question. So Pashas, you're not allowed
Is
to.
it the moonlight?
You're not allowed to sleep in a shul, not allowed to eat. In a Chassidish shul, we make a condition before we build a shul that we're making kedushin in the shul. But otherwise, you're
We've
not
had
allowed
weddings
to.
here.
Huh?
There's been weddings here.
We made a condition before we made the shul. That's mutter.
Is it a
Otherwise,
declaration that you have to make?
Yeah.
Or is it a special declaration?
yeah, we'll talk about this in a different thing. But that, yeah, the Bashtus in a shul, you're not allowed to do anything but serve Hashem. You're not allowed to do your own things. Right, so this is Obazach. It's like it's known that there's a hall and there's a pool. So Lamaisa, today many of the conservative and reform shuls have swimming pools and have wedding halls and chulu that from a Yidden use. Although I want to tell you that when I was a child, it was Alei Torah rented space from a conservative shul. Eventually they bought it. The building is the most magnificent, gorgeous building in Brooklyn. They bought it for $500,000.
Who bought it?
Alei Torah. It's the building is bigger than from the corner here in East 17th to East 18th. It's unbelievable.
Brooklyn
Including a
Jewish
Chasna Hall,
Center.
which is today the Chasna Hall of Granite.
Where?
Brooklyn Jewish
They
Center.
bought it about maybe 30 years ago. They bought it for $500,000. But there were Elton Siddha that even for a chassan they wouldn't enter that building. They wouldn't enter. They wouldn't enter the building.
Not only Zilkis.
No others.
Even today.
No. After they bought it,
The
they bought it.
Zirkins still don't want it.
Do they?
They didn't have even a minion. They didn't. The shul wasn't active. The shul wasn't.
Yeah.
They walk in. I remember my son at the test over there. Zilkis.
So now it's used as a yeshiva for 2,500 children.
There's already
And there's a wedding hall there too.
In Crown Heights.
The cousins, it's cousins or father.
It's not the Razak. It's the other one. The Razak is the
That
one.
one goes in. That one.
Huh?
All
All
in
of Menachem, yeah.
That one is.
On his apartment,
Became a
yeah.
Rav for a few.
So again, let's summarize. Entering a Reformed conservative shul, it's also for sure at the time of tefillah, better to daven at home without a minyan. Entering the building is a question, but for sure, if there is a swimming pool or wedding hall or other things, that it's mutter to enter for a wedding or for a swimming pool. No.
And a lecture in the shul. There's not a Torah lecture. I don't know. It's a
Right.
political campaign.
Right.
It's someone from the government of Israel who's speaking, and that they're the host.
If you're Hungarian, it's awesome.
I'm not here.
The swimming pool is mixed or is like
How about in the shul itself? There's a program in the shul.
That's what he's asking.
Yeah.
So it's not so clear. I think I was looking very hard in the Chuvas and the things. I didn't see anyone talking about it. It seems to me that clearly the takana that was made in Hungary in 1866, was not only by davening, but was Bachlal not to enter the sanctuary.
How about in
But
America?
that's what I'm saying. In America, I think the takana. I'm not sure. I think the takana was Nar B'Shas HaTefillah, but I'm not sure.
So going to a wedding in assuming the of course it's kosher,
Right.
inside the hall of
Is
a-
permissible.
It is okay?
Yeah.
Why?
there's no
It's a hall because it's rented out.
Right, and everyone knows that first of all, it's not the sanctuary; it's a hall for
Right,
weddings,
right.
and people
It's
know
still the
that this
same
place,
building.
right? But people know that this is a wedding hall. It's known. It's known that this is not just a house of Avodah Zarah. They know that there is upstairs. There's a sanctuary, and downstairs.
Maybe the wedding's not even kosher.
Yeah, but those weddings, they
Weddings
rent out the
because-
halls to
because the
everybody. It's
wedding
not
is-
only for members.
I know, but the wedding is being done by.
That's a separate thing.
No, they
If the
have-
wedding is not kosher, is a separate child. The question here that people are asking is, when it is a kosher wedding,
I see.
you have a kosher caterer.
In LA all the time, you rent out these halls.
Did the Rebbe talk about these issues?
Or else it's in a hotel.
The Rebbe was very strong in
It's
these.
either 100 grand or
Very, very strong.
And what was his?
There's no middle ground.
The Hungarian style.
Even though he wasn't from Hungary whatsoever.
Very much on the Hungarian side on that. Second question. It says in this week's Parsha, recently a woman asked me a shayla. She was nebuch sick. She couldn't get dressed properly. Is she allowed to daven? Is she allowed to daven? Person. Right. So that just about she can cover herself with a blanket. But otherwise, she can't do anything.
Put
She's
her
allowed to
in a
daven.
robe. Woman put her robe, and that's it.
She's in the hospital, she's sick, and she can't do it.
You're just covered with a blanket. She wants to daven. So, if it was a man, the answer would be it's also to daven. Since it's a woman, it's mutter to daven. Yeah. So now I'll explain. It says in this week's Parsha, Lo Yirocha Ervas Dover. So the Chazal learned from two things. Your heart is not allowed to be exposed to the lower parts of your body. So there has to be something like a belt or an elastic with a cloth that will cover the lower part of your body, that the higher part of the body will not see the lower part of the body. That's what Chazal called Ein Liba Yiroyas Erva. That his heart does not see the Erva.
As long as you're wearing underwear.
If you're wearing underwear with an elastic, you're good. Okay. In those days, not everyone, and wearing underwear was not, not everyone wore underwear with that elastic. Not everyone went shopping in Costco or Bechulu and then bought themselves, or in Bingo and bought themselves this type of underwear. But Chazal were Keveya 2,000 years ago. The Halacha.
Gown in hospital gown, you put like cover in
Sometimes you put on
front.
backwards.
That's a problem. Liboiro is erva, because the heart in the
You
hospital.
can put gown tight, it's fine.
I can get a tie it hard. I'm not sure, because that's not a separate. It's not a separate thing. I'm not sure. I hear what you're asking. Because you're saying because the back there's like but that string is not
Like
a
a rope,
separate
you
string.
only tie the rope in the back, but it doesn't separate the heart.
Is the string like a full string that goes around, or the
No,
string
it's
is
just
only the back?
That's around your waist.
I'm not
It's only
sure.
for a
Here,
tie.
this is what I'm asking now. So the truth is, for a man, I thought for sure it's also. You're telling me but they don't usually pull it tight.
No, you
They
don't.
usually
The
leave it
string
loose.
is only in the
Do they
back.
pull it tight?
No, like if gown rope, you can put it tight, you can cover the whole body, but front, no rope.
Right. There's no ropes. I'm not sure. I think it's also. But however, for a woman that's in a hospital and she's wearing a hospital gown, it's mutter. Why is it mutter? For two reasons. Not everyone agrees to this kula, but that's what Al Tanaba paskins. In Siman Ayin Dalet Sifei, Yesh Emrim Shanoshim Mechelis Levarich L'Spal Kashem Lev Shesachaluk Afa Meshen Avsikas Velamata Meliba. That they're wearing a gown, like a hospital gown, and they're allowed to make brachas, say Hashem's name in tefillah, and it's no problem. Afa Meshen Avsikas Velamata Meliba, and even though there's nothing separating between their heart and the lower part of the body, it doesn't matter because the erva by a woman is very low between the legs. Their heart doesn't see the erva because the private part of the body is between the legs and is not exposed to the heart. If they're undressed, you're not allowed to daven when someone else could see your erva also. However, if she's sitting position, so then the other person can't see Panashal Mata. Is mutter levarich, it's mutter to make the bracha, afa pisharuma, even though she's naked, so here we have two kulas. Again, not everyone agrees that it's a chlok is what's the maskon of the Gemara. But the one is that even if she's naked, but if she's sitting position, so the erva is on the chair, so therefore there's no yirah b'chervas davar. The erva is not exposed, so therefore it's mutter to say brachas and tefillah. Even if she's standing,
No, she doesn't have to be
doesn't become a dam. And even if someone else is not allowed to dam,
She doesn't
maybe
have to
another
have
woman,
her hair
but she's
covered.
allowed to.
She doesn't have to have her hair covered.
Her hair, this is a separate question. Her hair might have to be covered.
Even if she's not wearing anything else.
Well, again, for herself,
Yeah.
for herself, no. For herself, no,
Right.
not for herself.
Right.
Another person that's in the
Right.
room,
Yeah, yeah.
especially the husband, yeah.
Rabbi, if a man wear a towel against the erva, the towel.
Towel,
no
then he's
underwear or
Then he's
nothing.
good. Then he's good. However, it depends for which part. It's good for Knishma and for Tefillah. Because Tefillah you stand in front of a melech, and it's not appropriate to stand in front of a melech with a towel like that. You wouldn't go that way to the White House. Right.
Oh, but you would, but you wouldn't make it in.
And the reason in this shaila I'm not getting into these technical things is because the person that was asking was wearing a hospital robe. So I'm saying in a hospital robe there's a double thing. Number one, if she's in a sitting position, it's mutter anyway. And number two, she's wearing a hospital gown. So even if it's not tight, and even if you're not going to consider this as a belt, by a woman, because the erva is between the legs, so there's no din of liberoes erva. Therefore, it's mutter. However, if it was a man, I would say there's a problem. There's taka problem. Maybe if taka they tighten it and they take the straps in the back and really tighten it, that it should be a separation between the heart and the lower part of the body, then it would be mutter. But
The whole
it's
thing
not tightened.
You wear it like that because you have stuff on you.
Right. So usually it's not tightened.
Without
Exactly.
it, don't play.
So then it's taka problem. But for a woman, it's not a problem.
With the diapers is okay.
Rabbi, the woman,
Diapers okay. If the person's wearing diapers okay. So the diapers itself has an elastic like on the top.
Different. Now we're using diapers without elastic, which is
Pull-up.
I still think it's
no,
fine
like
because
like pads.
I know
like
what it
pads
is.
you cover with
But
pads.
still, doesn't it get a little bit tightened to the side that it's
We can put additional tape, but it's originally without.
Originally it's loose.
Yeah.
So then I'd say Frume Yid should make sure that it gets tightened. Rahman Sano Yid Frume Yid should be in this
But
position. It should be tightened.
some people can walk. They're just sitting in bed up, put feeling. It's not standing, but sitting position. They can walk. They can-
It's not our job to be machmer for them.
No, I mean-
I'm talking in a case when someone asks. When someone asks, you have to tell them the truth.
So hold on. So if
But
let's
he's
say
sitting. He's not standing. He also
Right.
cover his.
And he's wearing the Pampers.
Yes or no?
If a person would ask, I would say, try to get that they should tighten it a little bit. They should put like the tape a little bit from, like they should go with the thing of tape,
Yeah.
go like this. For a man and for a woman, I say it's mutter, like the din. But if they're not asking, let them put on top and not or they can put on a gargle, it's something smart for them.
It's not too much for them. It's
Too much,
many
right.
old
They don't know
people.
nothing. They
They know it to daven, but it's restricted with bad
Right,
80-year-old, 85. But
right.
so if a guy, I had a friend of mine who was not supposed to do it. So they connected a tube to his. He couldn't control his.
Oh, that's a separate Shiloh.
But he wanted to daven.
Oh.
So like an hour later, like he was up to it. So I'm saying is like he should have just covered whatever and then put on a bendel and that's it.
Separate Shiloh. It's a big Shiloh.
Rabbi, a woman
Okay.
going to daven,
Because he has no
she's
control.
naked, she holds
There's
the
a truth
siddur by the
about
elbow, okay?
Huh?
She's holding the siddur by the elbow. She's naked. She takes the siddur, she's daven.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about the back. The back, as long as she's sitting.
The main Shiloh I'm not talking about is when she's wearing a gown. There's no Shiloh when she's wearing a gown, it's mutter. Third Shiloh. Third Shiloh is actually quite interesting. Someone asked me recently a funny Shiloh. Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. So,
David, 100% right.
He likes the towel. He likes the towel idea.
someone asked me a Shiloh. He's a Gair. And when he was a child, before he was in Zgair, he used to go to Sunday with his parents to church, every Sunday. In the church, they're walking around with a pushka.
Oh, there's Sheilos?
Yeah?
hat.
Is that a pushka?
More likely a plate.
Or a hat. A hat. Later a hat.
I wonder which Judaic store they go for their pushkas. So, instead of putting in, he took out 10 francs and he went and he bought himself some candy after he finished church. Yeah. Now he wants to know, he wants to do tshuva. Okay? This is a child someone asked me just recently. I told him, no, Baruch Hashem, I have a good child now for Sunday. He was a cotton. So right away, I said, oh, there's the sugi. I know there's the sugi about a cotton. Now, never talks about it around Shulchan Aruch. Okay, so first let's talk about every cotton, and then we'll talk about specifically this fellow. Okay, so this is Parsha. It says, Kimotzi ish goyna. So look at the third child. Shoyel is geir shebekatnusa is gona 10 franc. Pushka shel beis hatifla v'achsher shoyel like classes. Okay, here's my answer. Rei Shulchan Aruch Harav, the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, Tzim Shimon Gimel Sif Yud Aleph, which is from the Shulchan Aruch, also brought in the regular Shulchan Aruch and Chosher Mishpat, Tzim Shimon Tes. Cotton Sheika Aviv, or Ova Shor Averis Bekatnusei, or cotton that did an Aveda when he was small. Ava Bishin Tzorich Tshuva Kshik, it doesn't have to do Tshuva when he grows up. Mikol Makim, however, Toiv Loi, it's good for him, Shekabal Latzim Eze Dover, that he should accept upon himself something, L'Tshuva or L'Kapora. Ava Bishin Ava Kodim Shnatz Bar Oinshin. Even though he did the Aveda before he became a Bar Oinshin, before he's shaykh to get punishment. When you're talking about money issues, he's Bar B'Choshem Mitzvah, Siman Shinun Tes, which is really supposed to be Siman Shimon Tes. The Rebbe has there a more than diuk in a footnote in a Sikha. What does it mean? This is from the Trumas Hadeshim. There's no Gemara. There's a Trumas Hadeshim. It's called the last one of the. He's considered the last one of the Rishonim. Question is, but what does it mean toiv? Is chayiv to do it or not chayiv? What's toiv? And what's toiv loy? It's good for him. It's like it's a funny lashon. It's usually in halacha we say toiv. Sometimes you want to say toiv. Toiv lahachim. It's good. If you don't find Shekhanah Chemer Loshen, Toiv Loi Lahachim. Chol discussion. It's good for you to be mad. Well, only you have to be mad. I don't have to be. Like, what kind of Loshen is that? And what kind of Loshen is Shekabel is a dover? You should be Makabel himself some little thing. Well, what's the Rebbe has in the footnote a beautiful word. It's shorthand, but this is the Nakuda. There's two parts to every tshuva. One part of the tshuva is to wipe away to wipe away the oynish. When a person does sin, as soon as he does tshuva, charot on the past, and he accepts from now on, he's not doing the sin. So there's no more oynish. The oynish is wiped away. Then there's a second part of tshuva, that a person should cleanse himself. That is the person made a pagam in the oilmas and in his own neshama, to cleanse that. That takes sometimes longer. And that takes more carbon, the carbon oila. Sometimes it takes till Yom Kippur, then a person's get completely cleansed. So there's two parts to it now. There is the tshuva takes away the oynish, and the tshuva that cleanses the person. By a cotton, there's not shaykh oynish. There's no oynish for a cotton. There's not a bar oynish. There's no oynish. There's no oynish. So there's not shaykh tshuva on that. Only the second thing, when a person chas v'shalom steals, for example, or a person does it, so there's a bad midah that goes into the person. It makes a pagam in the nefesh. Even though he's a child, there's no oynish. But for it, there's a little bit of a... So, therefore, it's toiv loy, it's good for the person. There's no obligation, but it's good for him to to do something to fix, not the oynish part, because there is no oynish, just in his nefesh, there's a little bit of a pagam.
Feel good.
Not to feel good, to make it good. So this is what the Rebbe says. It's a nice... Keep this in mind, and let's continue now on the next issues. Alter Rebbe says if it's a dovish b'mamma, if it's money, this is any aved. But money issues, you have to look at choshem issue. Why is money different? So look in the last paragraph here. Rebbe choshem issue, but the shechnar choshem issue is shemem tes. It says like this: Kot shagona, a child that steals, machzirin keren l'bayim b'mavayin. If you have the keren, the money that he stole, he steals $1, and you have the actual dollar. He steals a bagel, and you have the actual bagel in his hand. You take it away from you and give it to the owner. And the mocker is in the Rambam, you don't make him pay double like a regular ganon. If a child steals something and he loses it, he doesn't have to pay.
What about the parents?
The parents know. What should they do?
Aren't the parents responsible for what the child does?
No. Are they responsible?
I thought they were responsible until they becomes part of it.
They're responsible to educate him. And
The child goes into the store and breaks it. The parents have to pay.
secular law or Torah law?
Torah law?
No.
If you take something from the grocery, parents are superfluous.
No.
Something on the shelf.
No. No. Parents don't have to pay.
You gotta follow along.
They're not. They don't have to pay. They don't have to pay. But if the child has stolen something that's still in his hand, you have to take it away from the child and give it back to the store owner. But if the child steals a few candy from the store and he eats it up, so here's the shaila. So here's an interesting shaila which is brought to the Pesach Tshuva from different shailas of Tshuvas. They say that Rambam said if the child loses it, you don't have to pay. But what if the child didn't lose it? He steals the candy and eats the candy. So then the child is chayiv to pay. Elamai, you can't obligate a child to pay. But if he wants to do tshuva properly when he's older, and he's chayiv to take that money out of his pocket and to pay back for that candy, we can't make him pay, and we can't make the parents pay. But if the Rambam says if he loses it, he's potter. But if he didn't lose it, he has nana from it, then he's chayiv. Not everyone agrees to this deal. That's the.
But today, most parents, I saw a lot of groceries that the kid took something. And they said, here's the money. They went,
Okay.
they could show in the kid.
So-
Most parents.
And like, first of all,
I mean, you teach
they might be.
chinuch.
If they're doing it chinuch for the kids, it's for sure a good thing. Could be they're doing it because they think they have to do it. They don't know the halacha. And could be they're doing it for menschlichkeit. You know, they feel bad for the shopkeeper. Okay, so menschlichkeit is always a good thing. But if they think they're obligated to do it, they're not obligated to do that.
But the
But-
Shulchan Aruch says, "Im hu ba'ayin." If he eats it, it's not
Oh, so the Shulchan Aruch is not mashma that way. Exactly. Shulchan Aruch it's mashma. Give it back and you give it back. Otherwise, you don't give it back. Mistama. But the Shvus Yaakov and others say no. That according to the Rambam, im avdoi, if he loses it, then he's potter. But if he loy avdoi, nene mimenu, he's chayiv to pay. So it's a shayla. So, skip the bold words and get back to the.
When he becomes a baby, she has to.
Right. So so it's a shadow if you're chayiv to pay or not. Now, for sure in the Suffolk Geneva, you should be machmer because it's a din deraisa. Every Suffolk deraisa should be machmer. This is a Suffolk deraisa. So the third person, if a person steals something and he nana when he was a child, so he should pay back the money when he is older. In this case, it's a little different.
what it's worth today.
What it's worth then. He has the 10 francs, he has to pay the 10 francs. The problem with this guy is like this.
Yeah.
Number one, he was Nizgaya. So the chiyuv, the chiyuv,
He's a newborn.
he's a new person. The chiyuv will fall off. We say sometimes that certain, if he takes a loan from a yid, even after he's Nizgaya, he has to pay. Why? It's only din derabbanan. They said that if otherwise, it'll look like his conversion is not a kosher conversion. He decided he owes money. He owes money to Jew. You know what?
I'll be Jew.
I'll become it's a cool way of going bankrupt. I'll become Jewish. So Chazal said, no. To show the world that your gatus is kosher, you even after you convert, you have to pay back
It's
the
not
loans.
Kiddush Hashem.
Huh?
Rabbi, it's not
From
Kiddush
before.
Hashem.
Only from before. Huh?
It's not Kiddush Hashem if the ger, when he become ger, he goes to the church, says, when I was a kid, I stole $10 from you, here's the $10.
No, but I have a problem
It's
with
the
that.
biggest Kiddush
I'll
Hashem.
tell you what. I asked this person. I said, does this church have a charity, a soup kitchen or something? He says, nah, miserable church, they have nothing. They're not interested in any charity. The only they have is they have their prayers, and they're not interested in any charity. They have no soup kitchen, no nothing. They have no place for poor people. It's garnished.
It's a club.
So, was tut man? So number one.
Now we give a donation to a base tifla.
Now I give a donation to Beis Tifla. If they had a soup kitchen, he can give them a bag of potatoes. They can give to the poor. But they don't have a soup kitchen. They have nothing. They're not interested in the poor.
Should be mentioned the Yashka.
Right, so that's the shayla. So and he was already this guy.
He's no longer at the church.
So
he's at the shul.
a regular cotton would be obligated to pay back the 10 franc, but he was already this guy, and he can't give back the money to Avodah Zorah. So
So it's not
at
available.
first I was thinking maybe he should give back the money to the poor.
But why does he have to give it back anyway?
Because not obligated to, so here let me explain. We're back to this person's not obligated to give the money because a regular Jew that steals and is now
The father of the
go
children.
is chayiv to give back the money according to some opinions that Rambam. Not only mitzad an ex toivloi is chayiv, but this guy is not chayiv. But even this guy is toivloi. It's good for him to cleanse himself. The problem is, how is he going to cleanse himself? To give money to church? That's not cleansing himself. You're not allowed to do that. So therefore, to final analysis, I think that this person should give 10 franc, or the equivalent of 10 franc, which is today's about $3. Should at first I thought he should give it to the poor, but no, because the people that gave him money in the till gave it to Shem Shemayim. So he should give it to Shul. Should give it to Beis HaKnesses, $3, and the mail of that's going to be his true. So again, to summarize, if a person does any aveda when they're older, if it's stealing money and they were nana, they're chayiv to pay it according to some opinions. And anything else is toivloi to do tshuva. This person that was this guy, to pay back, it's toivloi, it's not chayiv. He can't give it back to the church, so you should give it to a shul. You should give a donation of about $3-4, whatever the equivalent of 10 franc. Just an interesting deal, because since we're in this Rambam already. Every year I learn this Rambam, I always think about this deal. You know, when you look quickly at Rambam, but there's something that pop out. I put these words in bold. If Bezdin find out that little children are stealing, it's roy they should punish them by hitting them. In order they shouldn't get into the habit of stealing. But listen weiter. You should hit them. So you should hit them good. So pashtas would say, little kids you should hit because they're never a little body, so you can't hit them a lot. Says v'koyach, and by avodim, hit them mako, hit them good. But you could say also the godel you should v'koyach hagodel. But why is it? So I always think that the pshat is in the Rambam is like this. There's two dinim here. When we're hitting a child or hitting a godel, it's a totally different reason. It's a different din, like Horozel, it's zwei dinim. Like Rabbi, it's zwei dinim. Totally two dinim. Why do we hit the cotton? Look at the words. It's for the benefit of the cotton. Why do we hit the avodim? Not for the benefit of the avodim. For the benefit of the people that they're being mazik. It's totally different cause. The child, we don't care about the store owner that's losing a few candies. They're losing a few candies. Sure, well, whatever. That's life. Children come into the store and steal a few candies. Let's steal a few candies. But I'm scared for the cotton. The cotton will grow up with this habit that if I can't afford it, I can steal it. We're hitting the cotton for the benefit of the cotton. But when the avodim are stealing it, we're not hitting them to teach them a lesson that they should be better people. We're scared for the shopkeepers. So therefore the cotton, we're hitting them to v'koyach hakot, because it's for the benefit of the cotton. But the avodim that are stealing, it's not for their benefit, it's the benefit of the shopkeeper. So we give them another zetz and another zetz and so many klep that they're already going to think 2 times next time when there's the shop before they steal. It's the servants.
The servants or workers?
Maids, servants.
What about
any?
What about if it's a little child which is older? Let's say it's 15.
13. We're talking
13 and 12. That's the cutoff one.
And then after that, you don't hit him.
After
then you
that,
whip them.
You whip them. Yeah.
No, we're talking Jewish children.
I understand. Okay.
You don't hit them.
It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean the punishment doesn't have to be by whipping. Here, that was the old-fashioned way of doing it.
It says hit him well.
The slaves hit him well.
Not the children.
The children, it says, hit them. Kifikoyach hakot.
No, but I'm not talking about a 6-year-old. I'm talking about, say, a 15-year-old.
You don't hit him. You don't hit him. He has to pay back.
Then you don't hit. It's a different thing. You treat him like a godel. He has to pay back. If he doesn't, then he has to pay kefil. Doesn't pay kefil. Whatever. You treat him like
you don't hit him.
No, it's not true.
So it's only up till he hits bar mitzvah.
Or bas mitzvah.
Right. Up until that.
Also, Fikar HaKatan sounds like according to how he understands. Like just hitting him, that is a Hoshtein, that it's not the right.
Right.
Not according
In other words, if it's a little child that's 4 or 5 years old,
it's not on the hand. It's
the kid won't understand. The kid doesn't understand. If a little child, if you're going to hit them, they're not going to understand that you shouldn't steal the candy. The only thing they understand is that when they're frustrated, they should hit them. You're right. It means to teach, because only what is good for the child. It's a din in the child to machanach the child. Mashenkin by the avodah. We don't want this to be hazekes. We should all be able to be machanach our kids to be lilmud alalam and lishma alasas, that they should be Chassidim Yeshamayim alamdona.